Greetings, children. Today we shall study the Age of Revolutions 1830 to 1848. This is a part of your chapter, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. As conservative regimes tried to consolidate their power, liberalism and nationalism came to be increasingly associated with revolution in many regions of Europe, such as the Italian and German states, the provinces of the Ottoman Empire, Ireland, and Poland. These revolutions were led by people belonging to the educated middle class elite, among whom professors, school teachers, clerks, and members of the commercial middle classes were included. The first upheaval took place in France in July 1830. The Bourbon kings who had been restored to power during the conservative reaction after 1815 were now overthrown by liberal revolutionaries who installed a constitutional monarchy with Louis Philippe at its head. Metternich once remarked, "When France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold." The July Revolution sparked an uprising in Brussels, which led to Belgium breaking away from the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. An event that mobilized national feelings among the educated elite across Europe was the Greek War of Independence. Greece had been a part of the Ottoman Empire since the 15th century. The growth of revolutionary nationalism in Europe sparked off a struggle for independence amongst the Greeks, which began in 1821. Finally, the Treaty of Constantinople of 1832 recognized Greece as an independent nation. The development of nationalism did not come about only through wars and territorial expansion. Culture played an important role in creating the idea of nation. Art and poetry, stories and music helped express and shape nationalist feelings. Let us look at Romanticism, a cultural movement which sought to develop a particular form of nationalist sentiment. Romantic artists and poets generally criticized the glorification of reason and science and focused instead on emotions, intuition, and mystical feelings. Other romantics, such as the German philosopher Johann Gottfried Herder, claimed that true German culture was to be discovered among the common people, das Volk. So, collecting and recording these forms of folk culture was essential to the project of nation building. The emphasis on vernacular language and the collection of local folklore was just to recover an ancient national spirit. Also, to carry the modern nationalist message to large audiences who were mostly illiterate. Karol Kurpinski, for example, celebrated the national struggle through his operas and music, turning folk dances like the Polonaise and Mazurka into nationalist symbols. The use of Polish came to be seen as a symbol of struggle against Russian dominance. The 1830s were years of great economic hardship in Europe. Almost half of the 19th century saw the enormous increase in population all over Europe. In most countries from rural areas, seekers of job came to the cities. The year 1848 was one such year. Food shortages and widespread unemployment brought the population of Paris out on the roads. Barricades were erected and Louis Philippe was forced to flee. A National Assembly proclaimed a republic, granted suffrage to all adult males above 21, and guaranteed the right to work. National workshops to provide employment were set up. In 1845 earlier, weavers in Silesia had led a revolt against contractors who supplied them raw material and gave them orders for finished textiles, but drastically reduced their payments. Parallel to the revolts of the poor, unemployed and starving peasants and workers in many European countries in the year 1848, a revolution led by the educated middle classes was underway. Men and women of the liberal middle classes combined their demands for constitutionalism with national unification. They took advantage of the growing popular unrest to push their demands for the creation of a nation state on parliamentary principles, a constitution, freedom of the press, and freedom of association. In the German regions, a large number of political associations, whose members were middle class professionals, businessmen, and prosperous artisans, came together in the city of Frankfurt and decided to vote for an all German National Assembly. On 18th May 1848, 831 elected representatives marched in a festive procession to take their places in the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul. They drafted a constitution for a German nation to be headed by a monarchy subject to a parliament. When the deputies offered the crown on these terms to Frederick William IV, King of Prussia, he rejected it and joined other monarchs to oppose the elected assembly. While the opposition of the aristocracy and military became stronger, the social basis of parliament eroded. In the end, troops were called in and the assembly was forced to disband. Conclusion. Though conservative forces were able to suppress liberal movements in 1848, they could not restore the old order. Monarchs were beginning to realize that the cycles of revolution and repression could only be ended by granting concessions to the liberal nationalist revolutionaries. Hence, in the years after 1848, the autocratic monarchies of Central and Eastern Europe began to introduce the changes that had already taken place in Western Europe before 1815. Thus, serfdom and bonded labor were abolished both in the Habsburg dominions and in Russia. The Habsburg rulers granted more autonomy to the Hungarians in 1867. This ends my presentation. I am Dr. Meghna Vig. I hope you understood and enjoyed. Thank you so much.